Okay, part two, mental health. Let's chat mental health because let's face it, this is something that it's not going away. Here we are at this time in the planet, and the warriors out there who are, and I mean actually both of them, the warriors and the warriors, because everyone is struggling with this. There's anger, there's fear, there's frustration, there's suicidal tendencies. I said it in my thing this morning, a young Indigenous dude who jumped from the third story of a quarantine room because he'd been in there for over 4 weeks. There is shenanigans going on with laws around the world that make no sense. This guy had had 8 negative tests. So there's shenanigans. So let's just talk about mental health for a sec, because the more we can nourish our own nervous systems, obviously I'm not saying don't take your antidepressants. I'm not saying don't take your anti-anxiety drugs. That is not what I'm saying. I would never say that. Not on this forum anyway, but I would never say that. So we need things that really help to just nourish the nerves, nourish our feel-good hormones of the body, because there's lots that we can do. So for example, and I think I've chatted about this one before, but I'm going to go there anyway. So there's a product in Australia here called Uplift Pro. So just to give you an idea of the sort of ingredients that are in it. So for a start, there's DL-phenylalanine and N-acetylcysteine. So both of those help to reduce inflammation in the brain. So you can't be depressed, you can't be suicidal, you can't be angry without brain inflammation. And we've talked before about how when the brain is inflamed, it actually attracts histamines, or histamines are attracted to the inflammation in the brain. So then we can end up with an overload of histamines. So we sort of need to do brain detoxes the way we do with everything else. It's got things like L-theanine, tyrosine, glutamine, tryptophan, 5-HTP, which is 5-hydroxytryptophan, thiamine hydroxychloride, nicotinamide, so then there's a few activated Bs, some chromium and some zinc. So basically the combination of those nutrients is what we need to make dopamine and serotonin. So when you hear that you have a imbalance, a brain imbalance, a chemical imbalance, that's what they call it, isn't it? A chemical imbalance, and you need this drug, think nutrition, especially if you've tried the drugs and they haven't worked for you. So because we need to calm the inflammation in the brain in order for these things to work. There's another one that I am out of at the moment called, anyway, doesn't matter what it is, but activated turmeric can help to reduce the inflammation in the brain. And there's been a lot of studies with activated turmeric, the curcuminoids in activated turmeric along with saffron. That combination is a really good anti-inflammatory and boosts serotonin, boosts dopamine. So there are lots of herbs and nutrients that help to increase our feel-good hormones, which is just fabulous. From the anxiety perspective, I'm jumping up on my chair. So from the anxiety perspective, things like Adaptan, so once again, going back into the herbal sort of combinations for things. So Adaptan has some ginseng. So it's got, get the right angle. So Rehmannia, which is a adrenal agent. Panax, so there's actually an American ginseng. There's wild oats. Oats is an amazing nervous system tonic. And lavender. So things like that, really good studies in relation to anxiety. Stuff like GABA, love the GABA. GABA is the anti-anxiety nutrient we need for the brain. So if we are anxious, we're not making enough GABA. But you know what switches off your GABA is glutamate. And when you are low in, back up I go, when you are low in things like magnesium, taurine, potassium, so basically the things in this sort of product, basically when you have a lack of those minerals, you increase a nutrient in your brain called glutamate. Now, glutamate isn't always a bad guy, but glutamate, for long term, it's an excitatory hormone, and the more glutamate in the brain, the more anxious we get. So therefore, if we calm the glutamate and boost the GABA, we start to feel better. So looking after our mental health, think nutrition, think healthy food, think detoxing on a daily basis, whether it's purified water, whether it's bathing in Epsom salts, washing soda, bentonite clay, zeolite, whether it is infrared saunas, whatever, whether it's parsley tea. It's just starting to look into your world. What can I afford? What can I do? What can I easily add into my life that's not going to be a trauma? I don't want to add any trauma to anyone. But then sort of work out what you need to do. And there's a trick with dosing that you can play around with. And basically, especially if you're not on any pharmaceutical drugs, then just say you had the Uplift Pro. So just say on the bottle it says loading dose 4 a day initially and then 2 a day long term. If you're a real sensitive soul, you could have, say, 1 a day for the first couple of days. Make sure it's okay. Up to 2 a day for the next few days. Make sure it's okay. Up to 3 a day, next few days. Make sure it's okay. So you can sort of really step it up slightly. And if it feels a bit weird, you go back 1 day. Because just about anything we do for our health, the thing that is amazing about herbs is that they don't just have one use. Most herbs have a broad variety of uses. So therefore, you have 1, that's fantastic. You have 2, that's fantastic. You have 3. But by the time you're getting to 3 or so herbs, it's actually increasing what all 3 of them do together. And so herbal combinations, it's where the magic lies. You can take your individual St. John's wort and your withania and your Korean ginseng, but if you can get one with everything in it, then you can really play around with those dose and find that magic level where you just start to feel happy and alive or less anxious or, whatever it is that you're after. Okay. Sorry, I was just thinking about flower essences. Obviously, I love the flower essences. I use them in my treatments all the time. And they're really, they're so calming. The thing about flower essences is that they help to they're like kinesiology in a bottle. They help to calm the emotion that's linked in with some little trigger that's gone on in your day. So, for example, if you've got a boss who reminds you of your great-grandmother and your great-grandmother was a powerful woman and you've got this powerful boss who you can't cope with, sometimes you need to diffuse the energy associated with powerful women. So then you get the benefit with lots of powerful women in your life, for example. Okay, hope that's helpful to someone. But there's many, many things that you can do, and so much we can do for our mental health to make us stronger and more resilient. And there's lots of herbs that add to resilience. So ginkgo, St. John's wort, brahmi, withania, rhodiola, romania, schisandra, lemon balm, lime flowers, hawthorn berries. It just goes on and on and on. So there's many, many, many ways to skin a cat, so they say. Okay, take care. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.